next presenter, Gail Nadal, is a RI Associate and the new chair of the Alliance of RI Associates. Yay! Gail currently works for the Yolo County Office of Education as the Director of Early Childhood Education. She's also a part-time instructor at the Center for Excellence in Child Development at UC Davis Extension. And you're very busy, Gail. Gail also works with the Yolo County Early Head Start program to incorporate RI's Educaring Approach at all their sites. Please welcome Gail Nadal.
They came very prepared. They have a little step for me because I'm a little bit shorter than most people. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Do you remember these words? These were the chants heard across the nation as our president, President Obama, campaigned in 2008 for his new position. Obama went on to say, "We are the hope of the future. We can remake the world as it should be. It will take a course of change. Change will not come if we wait for another time. It is time for hope." Thank you for allowing me to come and talk to all of you about what's taking place at my workplace. And that is that we are implementing RI in our Yolo County Early Head Start program. The data shows that the greatest challenge facing our country, from school dropout rates to crime to rising health costs to the necessity of competing in the global market, can only be met by focusing on the development of all children, beginning at birth. The achievement gap is not a metaphor. It is a social outcome that we can see and measure. And this morning, Alicia Lieberman, in her opening speech, called it an opportunity gap, and I would agree with that. Change the first 5 years, and you change everything. Many of you have seen this YouTube video, I'm sure of that. It shows the lives of children from 0 to 5 years old celebrating their birthday. The first clip is of a teenage mother no more than 17 years of age trying her best to care for her infant son, but scared, afraid, and lonely, and unsure of what to do with this baby. The video continues, showing a scene of a child at each chronological birth date and depicts what a child of poverty might live as their everyday experience. Homelessness, abuse, neglect, having their mother or father incarcerated, not being prepared or ready for kindergarten because they haven't had breakfast that morning. They didn't have a place to sleep. They shared their bed with many. And just no enthusiasm at all about going to school. This is a picture of a 2-year-old boy celebrating his birthday. He's the one strapped in his car seat where he was delivered to this program. Look at him watching TV with all the others. And in this video, he says, "I wish that I could just get up and play and run." The statistics show that these children 25% are more likely to drop out of school. 40% more likely to be a teen parent. 50% more likely to be placed in special education. 60% more likely to never attend college. And 70% more likely to be arrested for a violent crime. Each early childhood programs are the most cost-effective way to ensure the healthy development of children in poverty, and it really does offer the greatest return. Here we go. So we all know about social-emotional development. We know what social-emotional wellness is when we work with our infants and toddlers. We know that forming close and secure interpersonal relationships. We heard last year from Sir Richard Bowlby that attachments, the security, the confidence and trust that infants and toddlers have with adults responsible for their care is the framework within which babies develop the ability to be able to regulate their emotions and their behavior. These emotions, these are the things that occur within the family that children learn to experience and to communicate these emotions. And that it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel sad, and that the caring adult around me will be there for me. And infants' emotions are validated by those caring adults in and around me. Babies are born with the desire to be curious and to explore their space and are naturally active instigators in their own learning. This is our work, isn't it? Infants and toddlers who are not securely attached become preschoolers unable to control their challenging behaviors, and kindergartners who have a hard time with learning. So for all of us, infant mental health means social-emotional development, and that means RIE. There are 7 RIE principles, which I'm sure is included in our packet somewhere, and these principles are what fits so nicely into what is social-emotional development. So now, let's look at this baby. What do you think he's thinking? Anybody? That he's being loved. He looks like me. This feels good. This is my daddy. This is what social wellness is about. What is this baby telling us? Okay, one at a time. Liz? Undress me. I'm uncomfortable. Who put me in this? Anybody else? I need something. Listen to me. My cry means something. Where's my RIE caregiver who understands me? Help, help. And so our journey begins implementing RIE in our early Head Start program, where our county's most neediest children come. First, we don't have enough slots. We have more children on our waiting list than we can serve. I was asked 4 years ago to add to the position I currently had and to help the early Head Start program. I had had a number of years working in center-based care. I had implemented very successfully RIE in a corporate employer-sponsored childcare, was where funding was plentiful, and parents had read every child development book that Barnes & Noble had on their shelf. What we were able to create here in Orange County at that corporate-sponsored childcare was a program where every staff member had taken the RIE Foundation. It was our infant staff, our toddler staff, preschool staff, kindergarten staff, and even our secretarial staff. This was a wonderful place, and I see a couple of my own old team members out in the audience. It was a place that our corporate sponsors, those higher level management people, would come to sit and just relax and breathe. It was a very calming environment, and it was an environment that was meant for every child who came to the program. Now, at our early Head Start program, this was something different. It was challenging. The teachers were very established personnel who had been at the program for many, many, many years. The teachers knew that they were doing very good work, and they required very little from the management staff. The management focused on preschool, where learning would take place. There was really no need for these teachers to go to trainings, to learn about the new research. After all, the parents there and the teachers were very content. I actually have brought with me 3 of my teaching staff, Luce, Elisa, and Allison, who are here to also share the story because it's their story. And more than anything, the teachers love the babies. Isn't that what we know to be true? If you love babies, you're meant to be in an infant child care program. And that's what's counted the most. The program had initiated primary caregiving, so each of the caregivers had an assigned 4 children in their program. But some of the examples of our then are that the program took 1 nap for all of our babies from 11:30 to 1:30 with all of our lights turned out. And even our youngest infants were to sleep during this time. When a baby began to whimper, a teacher would quickly run over and pat the baby back to sleep before awaking any other infant. This was a quiet time. This was a needed time. It was the time for the teachers to rest. I'm looking at Luce because the infants heard many no's, and the no's were always about safety and protection. That's why it was okay. No, no, no was something that could be heard throughout the center. The teachers were trying to keep babies safe. It was not okay for a baby to get dirty or to play in water. they could get sick, and we would have to answer to our parents. Sometimes babies were propped to eat so that the caregivers could feed everyone at the same time. And before the 11:30 lights out call were heard. The infants probably were not ready to sit in chairs, but there were those good straps that you could strap them in tight, and the children could be a part of the mealtime experience. It felt like a stressful everyday experience. So the question for me as the new director was, could RIE even the playing field for these children and my staff? Would the infants benefit when treated with respect and have opportunities to choose from? Would the teachers be accepting of learning something new? I thought it was worth trying, but slowly and gently, as Magda would have asked us to do. So here's a little bit of the demographics of our area. We live in a rural county, the next county next to Sacramento. Most of the agriculture is the main source of income in the families. Many of our families are poor. Many are non-English speaking. The education level of the adults is low, and many have not completed high school. And there is, as I told you earlier, not enough care for the number of children who need to be in our program. So RIE was voluntary for the people to take the RIE foundations. And little by little, as we put on the courses, more and more teachers thought, I'm going to take this class. I'm going to see what they're talking about. And so this is Irma, who's here to share with you her experience.
All right, so could you just tell me your name and a little bit about what you do here at the center?
Okay, my name is Irma Gonzalez, and I just started here about August 30th. I was working with the infants and toddler with the infants, and I love being their caregiver. I've been on this position, on working with the kids for the past 20 years.
Wow. So this position you just started recently?
Well, I was working before at the other sites, but being here, yeah.
I see. So did you work a little with creative curriculum?
Yes, I did.
And
yes, I did.
For a long time, how many?
I think for the past 7 years, I believe,
Okay.
I was with the creative curriculum, and then, like I said before, I used to work at the other sites where it was Montessori.
Oh,
We
okay.
were more direct.
Before that?
Yeah, before that. I
Oh.
started with the Montessori program.
Interesting. So you've
it's-
had 2 transitions.
Yeah, actually 3 transitions.
And 3 transitions.
3.
So when you were approached about changing to RIE, what were your thoughts?
Well, at the beginning, I think not just for me, but for all the co-workers, it was something new and something that we realized that the kids could be more independent, which before we used to be more on them. We used to tell them how to do the stuff. We would always sometimes do the things for them, which with the RIE now, it's more calm and more easy because the kids actually learn how to do the things by themselves instead of us doing it for them. So I think that's a very big change, not just for us, but for them, because they were seeing it before that. We were there for them, and now they have to be on their own. I mean, of course, we have to help them when they need help, but now they're more independent, and which is good for them. They get to learn more stuff by themselves.
Right. Can you tell me an example of something specific that before you did for them and now you don't? You have them do?
Well, just simply because when we were, like, for example, if they were on top of, say, just by eating, if they didn't know how to eat, we were, get the spoon and we would give it to them in the mouth, which now they try to do it on their own and it works for them. Or like if they want to tie their shoes, you know, we were there for them. We wouldn't let them explore how to do it, and now they're trying to do stuff, you know, simple stuff for them by themselves.
All right. And did they have any reactions to the change? What did they
Well, I
feel
think
about
they
it?
did because, like I was saying before, they were so used to us doing the things for them, and now that they're seeing that, you know, we try to let them do it, I mean, they'll look at you and say, well, are you going to come over and do it? Or, you know, I think that's one of the changes that I have noticed, that now we're not there for them, that they have to try it and do it by themselves, and which it works a lot. You know, they try to do it on their own.
And do you think that, how does that work for them? Do you think that's good?
Well, I
or-
think it works a lot better for them because they're, like I say, they're learning by themselves on how to do stuff that they don't always have to depend on us.
Right. Do you talk about this with the parents? Because I imagine that the parents might do things for them.
Yeah, actually we do. We talk to them as soon as we got the new transition in about the ride. We actually gave them books and flyers that Gail and the teachers were also giving flyers about what actually is the right and how does it work. And the parents were, you know, there were one of the parents that I have with the toddlers was that she was amazed on how her kid was progressing before, which was, oh my God, I always used to do everything for my kid. Now that I'm learning about this right, he's actually doing stuff by his own.
That's great. And how old is that?
Well, that was when I was at the toddlers. He was 2 years old.
2 years old.
But she saw the difference between her helping and between him doing it by himself, and she was very amazed.
Wonderful. And does it? Did your workload change? Was it a different workload when you changed over to Rye?
And
Like, was it there? Was there more work or less work to do?
oh, I think it's less work now. I think it's more calm because, like I was saying, you know, the kids are actually on their own. Which before I was always, oh, don't do this because you're gonna hit, or you know, or you're gonna get hurt. Which I think to me it's a big change and it's a lot more calm.
Okay.
Someone-
And can you tell me an example of where you have less work, like?
Because I'm not always doing stuff for the kids anymore, which before I was.
And like, what were you doing?
I was helping them tie their shoes or helping them put their clothes on or something like that. And now they try to do it and they look so cute trying to do it. I mean,
And they're learning, like you
they're
said.
learning. They're learning a lot by themselves.
That's great. And are there? I think you've talked about this, but are there big differences between the creative curriculum and the Rye that you have noticed?
Well, not really. It's just the difference between working with the right is a lot more different than with the creative curriculum. I mean, with the creative curriculum, there's more activities to do, and which here we don't put any activities to them. We don't. They're on their own. We just have toys for them to play, things that they can learn how they make noise and like texture and stuff. Which with the creative curriculum, we're putting activities for them to do.
Okay, so you just put them out and they.
Yeah, they pretty much they grab
They-
whatever they think that they want to play with.
And do you find that they all go to one thing, or do they all do different?
It depends if they are interested in the same thing, then they all go to the same thing. If not, then they go to different stuff that we have up there.
And do you change that often?
Yeah, I like to change the things around like once a week, depending on how if they use it, or if I see they don't use it, then I put something out that they really interested in.
Great.
So Irma is one of our long-term infant teachers, and as you heard her talk, there are lots of things that I want to point out to you. Irma indicated that there had been many curriculums. So that's hard on teachers who come into a program and you start one thing and you get very excited about it, and then administration decides that a change is needed and all. And that's exactly kind of what happened in our early Head Start program. So here I was, the new director with new ideas, and you can imagine what these long-term teachers thought about me coming in to make a change. But she, in her interview, shared with you that in time, she was able to see the difference. For us, Irma really does reflect the families and the children who are in our program. Irma herself is an English language learner, and she makes connections with her infants like you would not believe. These relationships are there. The connections are there. And the babies see somebody like them, and that works for us. So we learn together many things about how to make our work simpler, I guess that is the word I should say, and how to observe and watch. What we teach really is ourselves. So we know that routines and schedules support social-emotional development. How many of you are better off in a day when you follow your routine or your schedule? When you can predict your day and your plan? And babies are the same. Routines are an important part of each day. They meet the infant's basic needs. They help develop a sense of security and control, and they provide predictability, and they support competence and confidence. Having one primary caregiver also supports the learning. A child knows the caregiver. The child remembers the way the caregiver feeds him, the way she holds him, and it brings comfort and regulation when a child has one person that they know will always be there for them. So the routines include things such as eating, and I had the joyful pleasure of being in a parent-infant class and observing in Janet's class, and I listened to parents talking about their busy day, and that while the child is eating, is it okay for me to read the paper? And I think that what we did, and what Janet did very nicely, is that we need to pause and think about how often it is that we get to have one-to-one time with our infants or our care group individually. And so focusing on what eating is, it's that time that the baby is looking directly at you and asking for some support. And so being there, I think, is really important. And I think that that helped the parent to understand that maybe reading the paper a little bit earlier when the baby is sleeping would be your time. And the time with the baby is when you're feeding them or helping them or having language development with them. Diapering, that wonderful one-on-one time. Slow down, Magda says. Really involve the child. And that resting time, the time when they need their time to themselves. And the playtime that takes place when you give them the opportunity to have time, to be able to interact with other children or to explore on their own. So here's Jimmy, and Jimmy's a little boy in one of our programs, and I'd like you to just watch and think about what Jimmy is learning.
It's hard to get out of that wagon, isn't it? You got in it, but you can't get out. Getting in is a little easier than getting out.
You don't walk now. Can I have it, please?
Is it hard to get out of the wagon? Just a little further down, sweetie. Just a little further down. Yeah. I'm gonna hold my knee.
You got it, see?
You got out.
Man.
You had to hold.
So how many of you wanted to get in there and help Jimmy, to rescue Jimmy? The environment's very, very important too. The environment needs to be responsive. The space needs to have that feeling of, it's good to be here, I'm happy when I'm here. And that is the responsibility that the caregivers put in, setting up the environment. A well-designed infant-toddler environment supports the social-emotional needs of the infants and toddlers. So I would like all of you just to take a little minute and to do a little activity with me. I'll do this very quickly. I've done this before. And I'd like you to think about what you would do. You've just gone to see your doctor, and he's informed you that in 2 weeks you need to have surgery, and that with this surgery, you'll need to find somebody that you can ask to come and care for you while you recuperate at home, about 2 weeks long. And I want you to think about who you would choose. That's what secure attachment is. That person you trust, that person you have a relationship with, the person that you know will be there for you. That's what our children need in secure attachments. So the first moments and months of life for newborns and their parents are an important time. Babies depend on their parents for all of their needs, for food, comfort, warmth, and love. And parents work hard to meet those needs. Infants and toddlers learn what people expect of them and what they expect of other people through their early experiences with their parents. Children acquire from their families skills, knowledge, attitude, and feelings about themselves as learners. Our families in early Head Start are faced with many challenges, which do include poverty, non-flexible work hours, challenging situations with their own family, substance abuse, domestic violence, and homelessness. This time can be very overwhelming for the parents in our program, and many are tired, suffering from postpartum depression, anxious about their finances, and just not really sure of how to care for their baby. So early Head Start helps. We have a home visiting program that supports our parents to be the child's first teacher and in giving their newborn the best possible start in life. Parents and their babies receive regular visits in their home and get support with the basic infant health and healthy development and early learning guidance on creating a strong parent-child bond. Elisa, who's here with us, asked me to share with you how RIE and implementing RIE in our home-based program has affected our families. And she says, RIE has brought a peaceful foundation to families and to all of us. Goals are no longer set for home visiting anymore. And instead, we observe more joyful interactions of the child, and we allow the child to show us their own potential. Parents can guide and provide a safe and clean environment for their young babies. Mothers are more relaxed and involved, which meets their child's needs, as well as the mother's need for nurturing. Helping parents to learn how to observe their child's play gives the parents the opportunity to enjoy seeing the strengths and the abilities of the child without pressuring to meet a goal, just to learn something new for that week. That's a change for us in our home-based program. We filled it with activities, activities after activity after art activity. Only 51% of teen moms have a high school diploma. 2% of teen moms get a college degree by the age of 30, and 2/3 of children born to unmarried teen mothers live in poverty. So through our home-based program, young mothers gain the confidence to succeed. This is Anna's story that I'd like to share with you. Anna is determined that she and her 9-month-old son, Jesus, will not be another statistic. She is confident and she's on the right path. The home visiting program has taught her that even though you have a baby and you are young, you can make a better life for yourself. She's learned that by modeling appropriate practices and allowing the baby many opportunities to explore, that she nurtures her young infants. This mother also has learned how to be a role model. So I have to set my standards high, Anna says. If I don't go to school, his standards won't be high, and they should be. The home visiting program has helped me to go back to school. And thank you, Elisa, and those who do home visiting for our program. So throughout this presentation, this quote echoes throughout. And for me as the director, I'm very pleased with the successes that we have had in Early Head Start and implementing RIE. We have strong relationships and interactions with the children. Wonderful, respectful caregiving throughout the program and the day. The atmosphere and the environment is calm, and I can see that the children are secure, especially with their primary caregiver, and the teachers are confident and proud of the work that they do. There's still so much more work to be done, though. We need to have more ongoing trainings about RIE. It's very easy, as we all know, to slip back to our old ways, especially when the climate gets stressful. And I heard that so much in the earlier workshop about the realness of what goes on with a RIE mom, and that was wonderful. We have new staff which come without the trainings, and one person can change an environment. One person who's determined to do it another way. We also in Head Start have additional mandates that have been put upon us. There's a tremendous amount of paperwork and accountability. And how do we do it all in one day? So for us in Yolo County, where 80% of our families are Latino, one of the challenges we face, but we heard the good, wonderful news earlier this morning, is that the RIE resources are not available for us to help our parents in the language that they need to hear. And we really do encourage the home language to be the prevalent language in our program. We also live and breathe the need and the desire to be culturally responsive to our families, where our families do swaddle their baby. It's what their mother has done and their grandmother has done. And we develop a relationship of trust and one that builds together what will happen in the program. So this is my friend Matthew. Matthew, this is a picture of Matthew about 2 years ago, and he is one of our first RIE babies in our early Head Start program. And he is, as you can see, secure, autonomous, and competent in his environment. He's going to be starting preschool pretty soon, and we know that he is ready. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. RIE has assisted in his development, in the children in our program, our children of poverty, and in turn, he will be one of the greatest returns to society. Thank you. So that's a little bit about our program and how we walk through the challenge of doing something different. And we're still learning. And what I'd like to do is offer, does anybody have any questions that you might like to ask? It's quiet. I think that we're in about our 3rd year. We offer the RIE Foundations course to our teachers. Again, it's voluntary, so like everyone, they have, their family commitments and all. I would say that probably we're pretty near complete of everybody doing that. But what is really wonderful is when those who have taken the Foundations course and through their hands have made the change, the other staff members are looking. So I would say we're in our 3rd year of this process. Yes. Oh.
Compensated? Oh, sorry. I was just wondering how you made them feel that they were free to go take this class, take 2 weeks off work, and how did that work logistically, I guess?
Right. So yes, it was a commitment on my part that the RIE course would be paid by our organization. So the funding was there. It was for them to step forward and say, I want to learn something new. I want to try this out. Yes.
I just want to know, how do you prepare the children for the transition from the other curriculum to come to the RIE program?
I think that, like everything else, is that we didn't suddenly take the class and immediately run to the program and change it. We talked about what the change would look like, and we started making some of the changes by changing the toys and the equipment that we had, and by really slowing down the work. It really was the investment of the teachers and the commitment, because as we all know, the types of equipment and toys within RIE are very simple. So more than not, we took away a lot of the things that we had purchased in the past. Yes.
Was implementing RIE at Head Start a direct result of your position and as the director? And if so, is implementing RIE at other Head Starts solely dependent upon who the director is? How might it get out there more?
Well, I think that many of you who are teachers know that you can go to a workshop and get so excited about what you learned on Saturday, but it really does take the administrator to say yes to doing things. So I hope there are a lot of administrators out there who listen to this story and can understand that it takes time, and the expectations of having long-term teachers change takes them learning and thinking about what they just have experienced. So I think it takes a combination. Deborah? Okay, and this has nothing to do about what we do in Yolo County, but 0 to 3 has contacted our RIA organization and is sending out 1,700 copies of the DVD, and that's how you see change in your programs, and especially our Early Head Start program, because that's wonderful news for me to hear. Within Early Head Start in the California division, I'm being asked to present because it is a change and it is good for these children.
Can I just throw in, 0 to 3 National Resource Center for Early Head Start is sending out sets of 4 RIE DVDs to every Early Head Start program in the country, along with Respecting Babies, the book I wrote. So, and I don't know about you, but I will be at the Birth to 3 conference presenting on behalf of RIE to the Early Head Start community. I think there's a high-level recognition that what RIE has to offer is going to be good for Early Head Start.
It is wonderful for Early Head Start and wonderful for the infants and toddlers who, in my eyes, need this so much. Thank you.
Deborah, can I make one quick comment back here? The wavy one. Hi, sorry. I just wanted to share, I wanted to share a quick number with you, if that's okay. It's very, I mean, I can't tell you how incredibly excited I am personally that you guys are doing that. And because I know there are so many teachers here, I want to share a number with you that to me is astonishing. There are a couple of studies floating around that you may not be familiar with, that they have looked at what is the impact of the quality of these very early education programs 30 years later in life, okay? And this is an incredible finding. And they find that if you have a high quality program for this, there is no effect late in how well you read and do math, etc., throughout of high school, but your lifetime earnings 30 years later, when you bring them to net present value, are about $200,000 higher. And they calculated the value per teacher per year of having this extra high quality education, and it was about $200,000 per teacher per year. And here comes the kicker, $200,000 is a lot of money. But here comes the kicker, they also studied what were the channels through which this worked. And they cannot put their finger on them. It's not reading, it's not math. They seem to be the kind of skills that RIE is teaching. These very abstract skills about, respect and security and confidence and maturity, etc. So it's just, this is incredible. I just want to share that with you.
First of all, thank you very much, Gail. That was really wonderful. And that was Antonio, who you'll be hearing from in a few minutes. At RIE,